Thank you for joining us for the next in our Safety is Personal series. In this series, we are looking at the specific issue of opioid overdoses in our country. We have someone with us who has looked at this issue from every angle and has spent so much of his personal time addressing this issue of addiction and potential overdoses. We are with Keith Prendergast. He is part of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and there he is a committee member. He's been with the electrical industry for over 30 years, and he is also our vice chair of the labor division at the National Safety Council. Keith, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
During this series, we ask everyone to talk about why safety became personal to them. And I know you have a safety is personal story. Can you share that with us here today?
Yes, I can, and I'd love to. Safety is personal to me because as I got into this business, I got into this business as a young kid, active in alcoholism and drug addiction. What I was doing seemed to be normal, and it seemed to be normal to everybody else. Little did I know that wasn't the case. None of that was going to scare me into doing the right thing for myself. What scared me into doing the right thing for myself was my last drunk. My mother came to see me, and she explained to me the situation, and she said that she could no longer be a part of my life, that I wasn't safe to be around, that her heart was broken, and that she did everything she could to, for me to get sober. I realized that I couldn't do that to her anymore. That was the day that I decided that I was going to do something about it. And that was right in the middle of a transition from going to one company to getting into the union. Me being sober and in recovery, the company that I was working for, after I got into the union, they saw how I was. They knew that I cared about people. They knew that I was in recovery, especially my boss, the guy that owned the company. So he made me his safety person. I was voluntold. And it was because of how I was living my life. It was because I was sober. And it took off from there. And once Local 103 heard what was going on over there, they brought me into what they were doing. And when we started that sobriety group initiative, that's when we started to see a change within our local. So
Yeah, real impact.
Yes.
Well, you talked about your mom, and thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you.
That a lot of times it is a family member or a friend that intervenes and gives you that hard, tough love that says something's got to change.
Yes.
But you also brought it to the workplace, and a lot of folks, I think, are still kind of wondering, why is a workplace even involved in this conversation, and why is a union in this case, so front and center to helping with recovery, to helping with understanding and educating around opioid overdose. So maybe could you talk a little bit about why workplaces, and specifically in this case, Local 103 and all of the leadership that this union has had, how is it that the workplace has been so critical in the journey to saving the lives that you just talked about?
I remember as an apprentice, at lunchtime, we would drinking at lunch and, with our boss, and nobody really understood what was happening. It was part of our culture, and as everything started to bubble to the surface, people started to recognize that this is an issue. And as people got sober, it really people who were sober started to get noticed in the workplace. The success stories that we show on the job sites are proof. And people now see that this isn't something to sweep under the rug anymore. That drug addiction, alcoholism, it's something, that needs to be dealt with. That it isn't anything to be ashamed of, because it does touch everybody's family. Gone are the days where you judge somebody who has alcoholism and is struggling with that. Gone are the days that, that you judge somebody that has a drug problem, whether it's opioid or whatever the choice may be. That also goes right into mental health. In construction, it doesn't just touch. It's not just something that happened to me. It could happen from somebody getting hurt on the job.
Right.
The doctors, the first thing they do is they'll prescribe whatever the medication is to help mask the pain that the person is going through. And in construction, you do what you have to do to stay working.
Yep, get through the shift.
To get through the shift. And if you can do it without that pain that's in your back or in your knee or in your shoulder, then you do whatever you have to do to get through the day so that you can get paid for the day. That's what we're seeing. That's how the addiction starts, and especially with opioids. Fortunately for me, I was sober before I even got into the union, so I had those tools that were necessary, that were needed to be able to have a defense against that. A lot of us don't have those tools.
Yep.
That's what we need to provide for our members, the tools to be able to be ready for those types of challenges, to be educated, to know that, all right, if the doctor prescribes me this could be addictive.
Right.
That's part of our training. We teach them to be able to ask what they're being given for medication.
So important.
It is, and it's work. We have a lot of work. We have a long ways to go, a lot of work to do. We still have a battle on our hands with this, but I think we're headed in the right direction.
We're sitting in your hall here, and I know that you guys have shared with me that on Sundays, this is your Sobriety Sunday location where,
Yes.
Literally folks from the community, 40, 50, 70 people come and with your union members, and they have recovery sessions right here in your hall.
Yes.
We follow the data, and the data tells us that an employee in recovery is a really good employee. Not only do they miss less time away from work, they cost you less money. They're here because they need the job, they want the job, they love the people around them that are supporting them. Can you talk a little bit about that recovery-friendly environment that this union, Local 103, has put in place? I've met so many of your folks here today, and many of them are in their recovery journey, and they share their stories so freely. Tell me why that's so important to both you and to all of your colleagues.
If you take a guy that, say myself, I have like a type A personality. If I'm active in my alcohol and drug addiction, that's the only thing on my mind. I am totally wrapped up in what I need to do to get the next drink, to get the next drug. And that's basically what rules my life. If we can get a guy sober or a girl sober, anyone sober, that changes. And if they truly get the program and they understand that this is the way to go, and they get it and they start living that life, that obsession goes to other things. They start thinking about the job. You're seeing a lot of progress as well. Like the companies are now starting to learn that that's the way to go, and they're actually starting to take the initiative now to help their own employees. Before they send them back to the hall, a lot of them are taking care of the employees before,
Force
on
multiplier.
their own. Yeah,
That's huge. That's really huge. You talked before that sometimes we have come a long way, and that we don't necessarily see alcoholism, as a failing at this point. It's a disease, as is any kind of substance use disorder. But there's still a lot of stigma out there. There's still a lot of misinformation and silence. Can you talk a little bit about how what you've done here at Local 103 has taken this stigma issue head on and helped bring the voices out so they can sit in this hall on a Sunday and get through their recovery journey?
absolutely. We've taken the anonymity out of it, and it's peer to peer. And for those of us that are sober, we're loud, and we let people know that if you have a problem, come see us. It's no longer something to be ashamed of. The way I live my life sober, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And before, when I kept that to myself, that wasn't helping anybody in the local. Mm-hmm. So when Jay came to me and he said, "What are we going to do?" I was challenged. I no longer was able to. I couldn't keep it silent anymore. I had to take my experience and bring it to this recovery group, bring it to the local, and let everybody know that I'm sober. And you get support. We've always supported our members in any way possible. If you come out in that way, we have people that I call them earth people.
Earth people.
Yeah, they don't have an alcohol or a drug addiction problem. They help us too. Their support is just as important. Mm. And when you make your voice known and they see that you're reaching out to everybody, they're front and center because they have a family member that they may have lost. that's suffering. They want their family member to get what I have. And they realize that the stigma goes away.
Yeah. That storytelling that you're doing here with us today, and that being so vulnerable so that other folks can know that there is a path, is so powerful. And as you said, this is starting to touch everyone's life. So they all have stories, whether it's themselves or others. So thank you for being loud here today. You said you need to be loud. This is an important series for us, and you have sent messages of not only your own personal journey, but what your organization has done to make sure that everybody gets to go home at night and live their fullest life. And I just want to say a huge thank you for everything the locals doing and your leadership.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate the National Safety Council's initiatives as well. I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us for the next in our series of Safety is Personal. We've really appreciated being with everyone talking about this critical issue of the opioid epidemic in our nation. This closes out that season with our Safety is Personal, and we look forward to taking on a new topic related to the mission of the National Safety Council when you join us for our next season. Thank you for joining this conversation. To watch all of our episodes on demand, go to safetyispersonal.org.